Hey everybody, welcome to this week's video. This week's Parsha is Shoftim, which is actually a pretty small Parsha, deals with judges, deals with the laws of a king, and many other laws. This is the Parsha, it's part of Devarim, part of the last monologue of Moshe before his death, but we're not going to focus on that today. I encourage you to read it. It's a beautiful Parsha. It's one of the shortest. It's only about 70 odd verses. We're going to focus on the month of Elul. We have begun the month of Elul. It began on Sunday. On Monday was Rosh Chodesh Elul. And I want to share a little bit about this most beautiful, special month. The rabbis tell us that the month of Elul, the word Elul, is an acronym. It's an acronym for a beautiful verse in the Song of Songs. This verse is such a beautiful verse. People share it on their wedding ketubah. They write it on rings and all sorts of places. It says, Ani Ledodi, I am to my loved one, to my beloved. Vedodi, and my beloved is Li to me. Ani Ledodi Vedodi Li. Now you understand why it's so associated with marriage. I'm to my beloved is to me. We're in this beautiful union. And Elul is the time when we're close with God. God is close to us. We can do Teshuvah, we can repent, we can make amends for all our mistakes in the past year. So when it comes to Rosh Hashanah, Yom Kippur, we're ready to start a new year. We're fresh. We have a clean slate. We feel invigorated. We've thought about the past year, and we're ready to take on a new year. The Alter Rebbe, Rabbi Shneur Zalman of Leyado, asks an interesting question. If this is such an auspicious month, and by the way, one of the reasons it's so auspicious is because when the Jews were in the desert, God forgave them for the sin of the golden calf during the month of Elul. Moses beseeches God to forgive them during this time. And it is on Yom Kippur where he comes down with the 10 Commandments, the second set of 10 Commandments, the second set of tablets after he broke the first one. So this is an auspicious month. And it's an inspiring month. And he says if that's the case, it should be like a holiday. So he says, let me explain. This is a very famous parable. It says, imagine a king who every now and then, maybe once a year or so, puts on ordinary garments and goes out into the fields, into the farms, into the area where the common folk are. And he mills about over there, and he smiles, and he's gracious and welcoming to everybody. And anybody who wants can go and speak to the king. And then he makes his way back to the royal palace. And once he's in the chamber, once he's in the palace gates, only certain special individuals that have been granted permission can enter. But while he's in the field, anyone can approach the king. So the Alter Rebbe says, Elul is God in the field. Which means to say, it's not Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur, where we declare God as King of the universe, and we say the phrases that say God is sitting on his royal throne, and all these type of terminologies and language that sort of implies this kingship element of God being present, and God is the judge. That's not Elul. Elul is the time God is close and approachable. We can make huge strides during the month of Elul. And we can get on that bandwagon. We can get on the entourage. And if we get involved now, we can make it all the way to the palace, all the way to the inner chamber. That when it comes Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur, we're in, we're there. Because we didn't just watch the king go by. We jumped on and went with the entourage all the way in. I love this story. I love the parable. But there's an interesting point to this. The phrase, the verse is Ani Ledodi. I am to my beloved. I am making the move. in the parable, it seems to imply that God is making the move. So what's really going on over here? And the Rebbe explains an interesting point about this. He says, it's true, God is making the move, but it's in the background. It's not this big earth-shattering thing. It's not Rosh Hashanah. It's not Yom Kippur. It's not a big miracle. It's not a big festival. It's a little nudge in the background. God is there. There. But you got to move. We have to make that move. That's what Elul is about. Let me share another little acronym of Elul. And this is also in the Shulchan Aruch. It says, Inna Leyado Vesamti Lach, which means if it happens, I've made you a place to run to. That Elul is considered like a city of refuge, another subject in this week's Parsha. It's a place where somebody, as the story goes, if somebody inadvertently kills someone, they can escape there to protect themselves from relatives attacking them. It's a city of refuge. Elul is like that refuge, a special place where we can sort of reflect and make amends. It's also another acronym, Ish L'Ra'ehu Umatonos Le'Avyonim, which refers to the charity that we give on Purim. It's a phrase from the book of Esther, reminding us that this is an auspicious time for tzedakah. Tzedakah to the poor and tzedakah to institutions that provide for those that are spiritually poor, that need that spiritual boost, that connection to their Judaism. It's also a time of es lebavcha ves levav zarecha, another phrase that talks about Teshuvah. By the way, the idea of the city of refuge is actually Torah study. The Gemara tells us that Torah study is a city of refuge. And it uses a verse in the Torah. I'm not going to get into it right now, but Torah is like a refuge. The Gemara says that if you're ever being subdued by your evil inclination, run and drag him to the house of study. Because when you study Torah, you're protected. You'll be okay. So there's a lot of beautiful verses that connect with Elul. This is a very special month. We're almost 3 weeks away from Rosh Hashanah. We hope you'll be there or wherever you pray. We wish you a Shana Tova, Ketiva V'Chatima Tova, a good and sweet new year. We'll be back next week with another beautiful Devar Torah connected to next week's Parsha. Good Shabbos.